So mọye tí Nàìjíríà jẹ China tó ń lẹ́nu sí mi. Ìwọ wá ń bi mí wípé ta la wá.
Ta ni.
Gbogbo yín la máa mú lẹ́rú mọ́ mi fìn bí ológbò.
Wàá jẹ́ ìyà.
Púẹ̀.
Ó yá gbà báyìí kó sì dànù. Ọ̀gẹ̀ fi ilẹ̀. Mọ́dà sí ti
ẹ̀. Tí n bá pe China fún yín nìsín àwọn mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta yìí ń lọ́nu túbú ni.
Sáwà kò jẹ́ jáwà àwọn federal government.
Gbogbo yín wọ́n ti fi yáwó.
Àwọn òwò wọn fi yáwó.
Family house ti yín kò sẹ́fù.
Ẹ̀wẹ̀ mọ́délé inú ẹja mọ̀ báṣẹ́ lọ. Bí mo ṣe ń kà lọ.
Ti kó èmi. Ó fẹ́ rí wèrè. Èmi àbáwọn ọmọ.
Ẹ̀mọ́jà
investor ló gbà ló bẹ̀. Mo tẹ̀sí lónìí mo ti fẹ́ pe China.
Ṣé ẹ̀ tún gbọ́? Ẹ̀ ń gbọ́?
Mo
lọ bá sọ̀rọ̀.
Supervisor ẹ̀ mọ́ bínú.
Wọ́n fi ilẹ̀. Mọ̀ bọ̀.
Ó gbé mi létí.
Mọ̀ bọ̀.
Mo gbó.
Ó ti gún mi ó tó.
Bàbá yẹn tún dà.
Àní o má bínú ó ti tó. Iṣan ló pa búùsì ayé òní. Ó ti pàṣẹ nǹkan. Federal government ló yáwó lọ́wọ́ China ó yáwó. Yóò mọ̀ pọ̀. Jẹ́ ní o jẹ́ sinmi.
Ibo wá ní sálọ.
Ìwọ tún mọ̀ lé mi náà.
Lóde mi tí wọ́n bá bí wọ́n dà.
Múrò jayé kuti ni.
Sọ̀rí pẹ́nu mi ti ṣẹ̀jẹ̀.
Kì í ṣẹ̀jẹ̀ tún mọ̀ bọ̀.
Ìwọ lè lù mí lónìí o.
Fèrè tí ń jẹ́ ń tù.
Ṣùgbọ́n tí China bá wá gbowó wọn tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá ti rí san á kó gbogbo yín lẹ́rú ni.
Good evening once again, everyone. You are welcome to this series, the 7th series of our workers' mental health and safety series. Yeah, this series is in collaboration with Safety Moments with Walieyullah and OSEC Legal Aid Clinic. Now, I'd like to give a brief introduction on how we came about this. Safety Moments with Walieyullah is a safety advocacy that is led by Walieyullah Adogoke, health and safety advocacy actually, and it borders around everything that covers health and safety, including mental health, which is something that is recently being put into serious consideration. And we're also advocating that mental health should be treated same way physical health is treated in the workplace. So this is the thing. And in collaboration with OSEC Legal Aid Clinic, OSEC Legal Aid Clinic is an NGO that was set up by a foremost safety practitioner in Nigeria. We call Baba Safety. In fact, this month of June has been his month. He was born on the 12th of June, when a date that is usually set aside for the annual safety colloquium on his behalf. We'll be talking about that later. And then, so he set up this NGO to promote health and safety, good health and safety practices in Nigeria, which includes safety advocacy, legal aid to indigent citizens who are not able to afford, good legal representation for health and safety, on health and safety issues at work, So this has been the purpose and the objective of both movements, in fact. So we felt that this collaboration is a good way to promote mental health and safety, which I feel is an issue that needs to be brought to the front burner. It's been taking the back stage for a while, but then we see that workers' mental health, their ability to be able to work effectively in the work environment also borders around their good state of mind, their ability to be, their state of mind, their ability to work, in a stress-free environment, and that is enabled, by the health and safety officers, health and safety manager in the workplace and other colleagues as well. So today I'll be leaving the floor for Walieyullah to introduce the topic of today and also introduce himself personally. I still remain Bunmi Omeke, a lawyer, an HR practitioner that is interested in health and safety. Thank you very much. Walieyullah, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mrs. Bunmi. Straight due to time, because of time constraint, we will be spending less than 30 minutes, like we agreed. My name is Walieyullah Adegoke, a safety practitioner, and in my own little way, a safety advocate. And I've been doing all my own kind of lifestyle around this curriculum of health and safety. Aside that, I also operate an individual organization of myself called Further Safety Consult, where we give safety trainings, safety consultings, and the likes. So unlike my colleague, there are so many areas of opportunities, from HR, from human relations to safety, to being a lawyer, I am just a health and safety practitioner, and we come up with this mental health and safety series um, in order for us to recognize, to create that environment, that awareness that, see, it's not only about physical health. Mental health in this time that we are, especially in this country, especially after the issue of COVID-19, as is now in the forefront of health and safety discussions. And we can't leave our audience behind without bringing this platform. So we brought out this platform to give our various discussions on health, mental health and safety. So this week we'll be talking about our 7th series, God's Grace. We'll be talking about hostility and violence in the workplace. Hostility is a very point of discussion in the organization, where we have people with various backgrounds. We have people with deep diversities based on gender, based on ethnicity, based on ideology, based on human behaviors, based on positions. So this diversification has led to a situation whereby we have people having mental health issues from being hostile in the workplace. Hostility can come from workers to their senior colleague, or from senior colleague down to workers. It's a two-way thing, and that's what we'll be discussing for today. And also together with it is violence, because when you have an hostile environment, when you have a hostile environment, it's a step to having a violent environment. Also, hostility doesn't only stop at having a violent environment; it also leads to issue of anxiety, stress, depression. Because when you're in the workplace and you're not accepted, when you're in the workplace and you're being bullied, when you're in the workplace and your contributions are not valued, these are the things that these are the kind of stressors that we address when it comes to hostility. At the end of the day, an individual who is a victim of an hostile environment will have a lot of stress together with the initial stress of workload and others. At the end of the day, we have a kind of a work environment where individuals will do their own thing, there won't be teamwork, and it will affect productivity. It can also affect productivity in terms of the mental health of such individual, such worker. It can affect productivity in terms of when you have anxiety, when you have stress leads to anxiety leads to burnout. From there you have depression, and from depression you have a case of suicide. So it's a shame that we need to stop at a particular point in time, and that is where we have this kind of discussion, where we enlighten people on what hostility and violence in the workplace means and how to address it. So I'll be going into, should I continue with the various
yes,
steps,
please.
or you talk about management of hostility?
Yeah, yes, exactly. That is how it should go. So I think you just take it up from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about hostility, we are talking about an unwelcoming and offensive behavior in the workplace that can cause an employee to feel uncomfortable, scared, intimidated in the workplace, and it's consistent over a period of time. And hostility in the workplace will help us to protect against all these things that I mentioned, against race, ethnicity, age, gender, disability, or race, or even stigmatization. Because in the era of COVID-19, where a lot of issues are coming up, there are issues that surround stigmatization. So addressing hostility in the workplace will go a long way to give high level of productivity in the workplace, because it will have high effects on productivity. When a workplace has a hostile culture, the effectiveness of individual workers will be jeopardized. There will be reduction in teamwork, and it will also disrupt the existing teamwork structure along various factors if it's not handled by the management. So what are those things, like I mentioned, that can lead to hostility in the workplace? There are various causes of hostility in the workplace that can make a worker to be hostile. It can be the issue of work stress, work overload, lack of motivation in the workplace, where a junior colleague is not being motivated, or there is an issue of bullying, harassment, lack of teamwork, where someone keeps quiet because whenever you raise a concern, it's been dropped down, or we have people that have a kind of behavior, we call it sorry, we have this kind of quiet behavior, someone who doesn't talk. So someone like that, we need to observe someone like that and create an environment where that kind of person will be able to bring out his opinion. A human resource can also contribute to understand environment when he intimidates his colleague, when there's segregation of the workforce, and not carrying the last person along. I'm sorry.
Bless you.
Not carrying the last person. Thank you. Not carrying the last person along in the workplace. You have a team of 5. Everybody has equal right to contribute in the workplace. And hostility can also come where junior colleagues team up together to address, to insult. That is the word, plan a coup for their senior colleague, when the senior colleague will be the victim of hostility. So these are part of those things that can lead to hostility in the workplace. When there's little understanding, when there's little understanding in the workplace, we should always learn to listen to understand ourselves, not to listen to reply. Where there is no ability for a colleague to ask questions, when there is no support, social support from the organization, maybe someone has individual issues that's addressing individual challenge, there should be a platform where everybody will be able to pour down his mind and establish various kind of steps and accountabilities in the workplace. So from there, I would give it to my colleague to go into how we can manage hostility and violence in the workplace. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very brief introduction. We had to do that because of time. But as we move on, we'll be shedding more light on even the parts handled by Waliyu, because they are all interwoven. If you're addressing the cause of something, you are still going to talk about the cause of it. So we crave our indulgence to listen in and also send our contributions, our comments. Might be a kind of experience or a kind of contribution, how you think that hostility and violence can be controlled in the workplace. Do not forget the question of the day on how you think, what you think should be your first response. What do you think should be your first response when a colleague displays an aggressive behavior? And what I mean by aggressive behavior like almost threat to physical harm, like abusive words. What should be your first response? What do you think should be your first response? And yeah, so I would like us to put that answer in the question box. And if you want to comment openly, we can discuss it. And also any limitation that we're having personally in our workplace. So to move on, yes, Waliyu spoke a lot on hostility. And also, like I say, hostility and violence, they are twin brothers. Just that one is a bit older, serious than the other. Hostility is still, when it comes to assessing it legally, has to do with the borderlines of discrimination against your age, your gender, sex, religion, and all those kind of things. Those kind of discrimination, discriminatory speeches or discriminatory behaviors along those borderlines, that's hostility. When it comes to violence, violence is physical threats. Almost, you want to harm someone or you harm the person. And in the workplace, whether in the workplace or anywhere, violence is a crime. So that is why, while we talk about the cause of hostility, like Waliyu has spoken about, we usually don't say there's a cause for violence, because there shouldn't be any cause for violence in the workplace. A good and healthy, safe and healthy workplace, you have zero tolerance to violence. Zero tolerance to hostility, zero tolerance to violence. Because while hostility might not be a crime, might not, because it depends on the borderline and it depends on the proof and evidence, yeah? Violence is outrightly a crime, whether out or in the workplace. And usually, hostility leads to violence when not well managed. When you are hostile, there's a higher tendency that you become violent if it's not well managed in the workplace. Having said that, how do we manage an hostile work environment? How do we even control it? Let's start from prevention. How do you even prevent it? How is it controlled? Number one, the first thing for any organization, as a CEO, as a manager, as an head of unit, the first thing first is have a zero culture. Have a culture for zero violence. And how do you invite such culture? By your policy, your company's policy should state a zero violence policy, and there should be a punitive procedure. There should be a disciplinary procedure for behaviors around hostility and violence, and it should be clearly stated. This is partly the work of HR, you know, and as the CEO of an organization, there's a need to go through a training, behavioral training. They call it behavioral safety training, right, Waliyu? Am I correct?
Yeah, behavioral safety training.
So there's a need for you to go through, you know, as a manager. I can't hear you, Waliyu. Can you hear me?
I said you are very correct. You are very correct.
Waliyu, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Wow, I can't hear him. Okay.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just continue. Okay, so you, as a manager, it's good to go through this sort of training, you know, that helps you to know how to manage situations involving violence, hostility, you know, in the workplace. Another thing is this: when confronted with an hostile, now we've spoken about how to prevent, you know, while you have spoken, also touched on reducing things that could cause triggers, stressors, like workload, you know, pressure from supervisors and all that. Another thing that we can put in place in the workplace to reduce friction, job rotation, clear, you know, they call it clear job description, but really in the work environment, sometimes you do not have a clear job description, and that is where team play comes in. We should be able to, you know, inculcate the attitude of team playing, as in have a team spirit, not one person trying to take the shine of another, as in trying to, you know, try to also, some people need to even go for this team, you know, this team training. There are trainings around teamwork, you know. It is important. If you know you're lacking in that area, then it's something that you need to work on individually, so it does not lead to an hostile or violent situation where you have to be, have friction in the work environment with your colleagues. That's one. Then, talking about a situation where violence, aggression has happened, how do you manage it? I remember a story during our training, Waliyu, that a man talked about a staff of a particular organization that wanted to use the hospital attached to that organization, and he was looking for where to park. He needed to park in a particular place, and he wasn't allowed to park in that place. So he fled up and told the security, "Do you know who I am? I'm going to deal with you," you know, started raising his voice and all that. The first thing they needed to do was to ensure that he's taken out of that environment. You know, it is not enough. There are words that you shouldn't use when confronted with a situation that has moved from just being hostile to being violent. Because the first thing you want to do is to prevent physical harm or attack. So the kind of words you want to use at that point is anything that could calm the situation down, either as a manager, as a supervisor, as HR professional in the workplace, as a colleague. The first thing you want to do is to ensure that you take out the aggressive person, the person who is, you know, throwing tantrums or trying to be aggressive, trying to get at the other person. Is not to settle issues or to tell him he's wrong or to tell the other person they are wrong. Is to say, you need to calm down. We are going to get this sorted. Any word that could calm them down is the first thing that you say in a violent situation. And we've had situations like we discussed before now. I mean, in one of our posts, we talked about things that are going on in the US, you know, in other countries. It might seem that because we do not have gun freedom in Nigeria, we do not have such kind of cases. They are not common, you know. But I've seen a case where an ex-staff, like a disgruntled staff that was sacked, went back to the bank where one of these new generation bank where he was sacked, took a cutlass to go attack an ex-colleague because of what he said. how do you control this kind of situation as an health and safety professional or as an HR professional practitioner at work? How do you control this kind of events? You know, how do you actually control it? How do you stop it from happening? Yes, human behaviors at times we are not 100% in control, but there are things that are put in place. You need to understand the triggers. That's why they call root cause analysis. You need to understand the trigger. What actually triggered that situation? From the story, I said I was going to give the full gist. A colleague of his had told a regular client in the same bank, that the regular client asked the colleague that, okay, so what's happening? I've not been seeing this person of late. And he told the client that he has been sacked, and went ahead to explain the reason why he was sacked, even when he was not his fault to do that. You know, so there should be policies put in place for what, for example, we have things like exit interview, those kind of things that are put in place when a staff is leaving an organization, and how the other staffs are also briefed, you know, managed when a particular staff is being laid off or is being dismissed. All these measures are important to avoid such a situation, such a violent situation. And Waliyu is no longer here. What's happening? Okay, so that would be all. I would have left the other segment to be handled by Waliyu, and also allow questions for those who want to send in their questions or comments in the chat box. Where's Waliyu though? Okay. We said we won't be taking a lot of your time today, so I guess we can just call this session a day and continue in our next segment on workers' health and mental health and safety in the workplace. So for the sake of those that are just joining, the record of this session will be on our IGTV, and this is still the series, still carrying on the mental health and safety message, saying that workers' mental health is as important as physical health in the workplace, checking the impact, effect of certain social behaviors in the workplace and how they can be managed and controlled. Thank you very much for those that have participated in this session, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you another Sunday to discuss issues bordering around mental health and safety. Thank you very much. I still remain yours, Bunmi Jasmine Omeke. And my co-host, I think is a network issue, is not here right now, Waliyu Adegoke. Thank you very much and have a beautiful week.